celebrating today, the Assumption, is known in the Eastern Church as the theosis or divinisation of Mary. It is, of course, a feast that has caused some controversy within the Church, both with Orthodoxy, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and the Protestant churches. And a remarkable little document has been produced by the Anglican Roman Catholic International Commission, the conversations that have been held between our two churches in order to broach unity, the ecumenical movement. And the insights of the latest Archic document, Mary, Grace and Hope of Christians, have, I think, made some great strides towards agreement between our churches, though not everybody, of course, thinks so. There are two particular insights I just draw your attention to for a start. One is the insight from the Eastern religions, where the doctrine, I think it was in the 1850s, was defined by the Pope of the Immaculate Conception of Mary. The scholars who met for Archic drew on the insights of the Eastern religion, in particular the word Panhagia, Pan meaning all, Hagia the meaning holy. Mary was seen not as sinless, the Immaculate Conception, as though she lacked something, but as full of holiness, Panhagia, holy through and through. And for many this became a better way of understanding that controversial doctrine that was defined by the Pope in the 1850s. When it comes to the other controversial doctrine, which was defined 100 years thereabouts later, the doctrine that we celebrate today, the Assumption of Mary, the Archic drew on the insights of Paul, which was rather unusual because when we're thinking of Mary, we usually go to the Gospels, to the Nativity, particularly in Luke. But no, the scholars thought that we could gain some ground if we looked at the teaching of Paul, particularly in Romans 8, where you will recall that passage in which Paul moves from eternity, from way back in eternity, forward into the future, in that golden chain, as it is called. Those whom he predestined, he also called, and those whom he called, he also justified, and those whom he justified, he also glorified. And the suggestion was here that we read this passage backwards, and that we see that from all of time, looking to the future, Mary is a model of what all Christians will become in their theosis, their divinisation. That is what lies, that is the Christian hope. Mary, grace and hope of all Christians. Mary, full of grace, holy through and through. Mary divinised those whom he foreknew, those whom he predestined, he also called, and those whom he called, he also justified, and those whom he justified, he also glorified. Well now, of course there isn't a shred of evidence in the scriptures for anything like a so-called assumption of Mary into heaven, and we read passages that we read into the scriptures, such as the book of Revelation with its imagery of the woman with the crowns and so on. Most scholars would think that's a reference to Israel, that picture of the woman. So the tradition has led us to see allegorical ways of interpreting the scriptures. But I think so often in our Marian devotion, we can become so otherworldly. Hooray, and up she rises in this great, remarkable feast of the Assumption. I want to come down to earth this morning and see Mary, as many Catholic theologians, New Testament scholars are helping us to see her more and more, as a model the model of Christian discipleship. And the monks out of Tarrawara Abbey, I think, have a beautiful picture in their church, painted by a local artist, of Mary as a young girl, as she probably was, with a Bible in her hands, and standing with the open Bible in the other hand, beckoning the faithful. Here is, for the monks, a model of the contemplative, one who ponders the Word of God and keeps it. Twice over in Luke's Gospel we read of Mary, that she pondered the Word of God. And these Cistercian monks out there find this image as they sing each night after Compline, the Salve Regina. Here is an icon of the model monk, the contemplative. But I often think, with two daughters who are married with little children, how can Mary be a model for them, the busy mums with little kids? Both my daughters live in the diocese of Ballarat, which is a very good place to live. I say that because the bishop is here present with us and he's very welcome. I was recently in Ballarat for our mission, and we had Bishop Stephen Cottrell come, and we had a great celebration in the cathedral there. And I thought, well, now it'd be great to catch up with my daughters, so I called one of them. I said, "It's lunch break. Can I have coffee with you?" So she piled the kids in the car and came down to the cathedral. And she said, "Well, look, Dad, you go ahead with little Willow, who's 2 years old, and I'll meet you at the restaurant." The other baby was screaming in the back of the car, and she couldn't get the pram out. So I went on with Willow. Willow took hold of my hand, and she was skipping off, so happy. A little bit of sun shining even in freezing cold Ballarat. And as she wandered along, swinging her arms and holding on to me, she started singing, "Mother duck went quack, quack, quack," and all the funny little ducks came back. And I thought, how wonderful. This is a God moment for me. Here is this little innocent, happy little child lifting my heart to God. I think we need to think of contemplation and moments with God in different ways. And we can find them all over the place, like I did with my granddaughter. We can find it with another friend, conversation with another friend, as a God. We have to see our spirituality not in terms of finding huge hunks of time every morning that most of us haven't got, but seeing it a little bit like salt. You just put a little bit of salt in a meal, not too much, just a little to bring out the flavour. And it is just those moments of turning towards God that are so important for busy young mums like my daughters. If they had to find half an hour each day to be still and quiet, I think they'd both have to say, well, that'll be 6 years' time when the kids go to school. Silence and little children just don't go together. And I think we need to help young mums, busy people, to see that there isn't a rigid kind of formulaic way of approaching our daily devotions, but finding God in the busyness of life. As someone put it, pausing at the top of the steps before moving on. Just that, turning towards God. Thinking of it not so much in terms of quantity of time, but as quality time over a meal. Marvelling in the colours and the textures of the different vegetables on our plate, when all God needed to do was to provide us with something that would satisfy our dietary needs. But instead He's lavished it with texture, colour and taste, and giving thanks to God. Quality, not quantity. Mary pondered these things in her heart. May she be our model for prayer, however we approach it in the different stages of our life. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.